Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine, and I have decided I will vlog daily since the start of this awful war with Russia. Honestly, all of us believed it will finish in a week, in a month, in half a year, but now after 1 year passed, we realize this is going to be long and we have to stay strong and united. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe because I believe the world needs to know more about Ukraine, and there are many useful, interesting, inspiring, dramatic things that we can share with the world. And first of all, I want to thank you for our yesterday's live conversation because it was very important, very warm, very honest, and very friendly in this true human meaning for me. And I am very grateful for the community of my channel and very special people that come from different corners of the world, and we communicate with each other, you communicate with each other, and it all makes a wonderful community that makes me believe everything is possible and victory is coming in our direction. Today I feel like I rarely speak about emotions. Sometimes I update you with the things that we consider important, I give some feedbacks, but perhaps today I want my vlog to resemble my first or my second vlogs that were mainly filled with emotions and what is it to be Ukrainian right now. And I have to say that before, like years before the start of this war, I would never describe my nationality as one of my main characteristics. Of course, it's important, it defines your family traditions, how you celebrate holidays, what you like to eat, other things. But I think that in general, my country is very open. It always likes diversity of foreigners who come here, traveling, exploring, and in general, we are not that we were not that focused on what is it to be Ukrainian. And now it comes with a set of important skills, important for survival, and also some feelings and emotions that you cannot avoid even if you try. Well, first of all, this season in my part of the world is really gray and dark. And for example, today it is raining all the time. It is like +4, it is windy, and in general, it all creates quite a depressive atmosphere. Today we were marking also the 40 days since my mom passed, and in Ukraine this is a time that you have to spend with your family. You have to go to the church, and then we have a dinner and some traditional dishes, maybe something similar is kept in your families. And it all began early in the morning, and we were in the church, and air raid alarms twice, because Ukrainians already know, we receive not only the alarms but also the information, what is the reason for this air raid. And in this case was a plane, MiG something in Russia, and in the majority of cases, not in all the cases, but in the majority of cases, these are just training flights and not likely that something will happen. Plus these caliber missiles that they shoot on Ukraine are pretty expensive. They won't spend them on Lutsk because we don't have minor military or industrial things here. But this is such a weird feeling when you're standing inside of a church listening to a service and this specific church language and music and the chorus speaking, and also you hear air raid sirens outside. This is like an illustration of God and devil, of good and bad. Also, when we came for a dinner, and that dinner was in one place that is close to the church, close to the graveyard, so people typically have specific dinners there. And there was also a big dinner in the memory of a soldier whose funeral was today. And you come in close contact with these people, and it is many families in Ukraine, the majority families in Ukraine are directly influenced by war. What is also on this church services, the priest reads the names of people who are gone and for whom we are praying. And he was reading so many names of Ukrainian soldiers, because when he says the name, he also says it like soldier, 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 soldier. And when you listen to that, you realize like, oh my God, this is a small church in one part of my city, far away from front lines, but there are dozens of people that he names and their relatives are standing next. And it makes you feel like very sad for all the beautiful people that we have lost during this year of war. So when I think about this, like, of course, every tragedy, every loss is always very individual. And those of you who wanted to support me after the loss of my mom, I greatly value some words that you said. And there were words like, it's always individual. No matter what people like tell you, there are some words that can touch you and help you. But in general, you go through your personal experience, your personal relations with that person, your personal need of that person. But there are some general emotions that I believe all Ukrainians share. And of course, first, that is a feeling of true sadness. Because when you have war in your country, you cannot be happy. Trust me. You can have moments of joy. There are victories, both personal and national. You can feel good for a certain moment. But in general, like this atmosphere is negative. Like you can feel it everywhere, even in parks that are lit with sun and where you buy ice cream, because your country is at war, and every moment you can hear a weird sound or an air raid, or you receive news and you are constantly worried. So this worry and anxiety, they come together. People demonstrate them differently. Some are really afraid, some have to escape the territories that are not always dangerous. For example, I do believe it's safe to live in my part of Ukraine, but many of my friends left this territory because they constantly felt fear, and I cannot blame them for that. Also, some people are hiding this fear and anxiety, and then when they travel they realize they have it, because for example in Budapest or in Warsaw or in Berlin, they start looking for bomb shelters. They want to download air raid information applications, and only then they realize you don't need that in Poland, you don't need that in Hungary. So also, like when you hear a plane flying, it's always like, oh no, what's that? Like we have never, like I was never attentive to planes, and flying above me, it was like interesting when you can hear them flying close to the land. Also, when you hear an explosion, for example, they can happen. For example, a wheel can blow up in a car, but you're always like that way nervous. Also, this is definitely the feeling of uncertainty. And this is a bad feeling. I'm a person who likes to plan. Of course, you cannot plan everything, but like it's good to imagine what your summer will look like. And I cannot imagine that, honestly. I do understand that I'm not even a member of the Ukrainian armed forces, so I'm free to move. I can plan some trips, I can have some ideas, but still, much depends on the situation in Kyiv, on the situation on the borders, on the situation in the world, on China, on the United States, on Britain, on France, and of course on that orcs and level of their craziness. And this uncertainty, it destroys many plans, many careers, many families, because people don't know what they are doing. They're not planning, they're not building, they are not studying the way they should. Of course, some of us are becoming like stronger and more hardworking because we realize that like we are working for the victory, but at the same time we are all filled with that uncertainty. And if you ask me what are your plans for summer, like I cannot answer you, because my plans depend on too many things. Also, there are lots of personal problems all over Ukraine. And of course, war makes our emotions stronger. And many people like fall in and fall out of love. But there are lots of families that are separated. For example, women are abroad with children and men are in Ukraine. And when people do not see each other for a year, that is a serious period during which many things change. And it's not about commitment. It's like many people had different problems and they become more vivid. They speed up in the situations of war. And on contrary, many people who were not confident, who were doubting, are getting married, for example, or become closer with those whom they observed like for years. But it definitely interferes, war interferes in every part of human life. And if I had like one thing to learn, I would definitely like to know, when will this war end? I want to believe this will happen in 2023, but I also know, and I have this experience, that I believed it will end by summer 2022. And many smart people told us that way. So now I realize that it can last for half a year, for a year, or maybe it will last for 10 years. And 10 years is a huge period of time, and it does not mean that I will start acting differently. But it's like a long run, a marathon. It's always good to know what to prepare for, but no one will tell me, and this is difficult. With the war, just as with disease, there is nothing that you can predict. Many things come together apart from like your skills, a part of your desire, your commitment. There are other things. And when I was reading on Facebook and Instagram reactions of many Ukrainians, many of those who work hard and who achieve something, they say that we have learned to focus on these things that we can influence or we can change, and we do not follow the events or things that we cannot influence or change. It's good when you can do it, but from the other point of view, it's pretty difficult sometimes. So this feeling of sadness and tragedy that is in the air, the feeling of injustice. Honestly, we do ask ourselves questions: what for? What have we done wrong? Because like, we're a good country, we're good people. But at the same time, your help, your understanding, your support and victories that we have do help to ease this feeling. And like, we understand, okay, this is injustice happening, but God is working, friendship is working, allies are working, and we will make it. So thank you for that very much. Uncertainty, anxiety, and various traumas that we will feel within the next years. But I am an optimist, and I think that my generation and generation of younger people and generation of older people, like those who are active during these years of war, they can grow into a beautiful society that can be useful both for a new, stronger Ukraine and for the world. And I try to work in that direction, and there are many things that I'm doing, both in the sphere of my NGO work, education, like vlogging, I believe, because this is the time when we cannot relax. And one of the things that I feel, and I think that very many Ukrainians feel, and perhaps I will finish with it, one of the emotions or like feelings, is the feeling of duty and obligation. That this is the time when you cannot cry, be like, give your fears way and control you, and you cannot relax. You cannot relax. You can sleep, you can eat, you can have some days of fun, but you cannot relax. You have to continue doing something for your country, for your city. And I do not have any doubt. If you ask me, do I have doubts that we will win this war? No, I'm 100% confident that we will win this war together with you. But it is very painful how many people will lose on the way to this victory. And I want to thank you for all the support that you give to Ukraine, donations, weapons, conversations with your politicians, attention to the country, because they help to move in that direction of victory. They save days and lives of this war, and that is very important. Perhaps this is one of the most important missions that we can do in our lifetime, and I'm very grateful that I have you. Thank you once again for being with me. Thank you for being my patrons, buying me coffee, supporting my crazy and I hope useful ideas. And Slava Ukraini!